Green. Here we go. All right, if you're joining us from wherever you are in the world, my name is Jason Ehlinger, and I have the distinct honor and privilege of my brother, who is a airline pilot. He's worked for how many years, Eric? 25 years to get to where you are today?
Yeah, it feels like 25, but I think we'll stick with the 22 for now. Yeah.
22 years. Feels like 25 altogether. And so we're just going live today to talk about those elements that we've been broadcasting for this past few weeks about the pilot's life, how to manage fear and pressure, faith, family, and purpose, and how to really create this mental fortress and resilience in your life so that you can accomplish some of the feats that Eric and I have been able to accomplish as we worked out and built our lives together. So this channel is all about about building your life the way you want it to look. And of course, that might be the way of building your finances, working on your career, making sure that you're doing something meaningful that you love long term, or at least working in that direction. And so because of that, we thought, man, it would be great to have my brother on board and be able to share with you guys some of the really cool aspects of the lifestyle of an airline pilot, and the maybe the trajectory and how you actually get there. And so that's what this live is about. And hopefully you're being able to see this on TikTok, and as you're watching on YouTube. I hope this is a very, very special opportunity session for you. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, please like the live wherever you are. If you're on TikTok, like the live. If you are on YouTube, subscribe, please. Like the live there on YouTube, and drop a comment where you're joining from, as well as any questions that you might have that you would love to ask a real airline pilot, a captain who sits in the left seat, right? Left seat, right? Left seat in the airline in a big airplane. And so we're going to be talking about that as we go through this. So guys, if you're just joining in, just give a couple minutes for everybody to join in. But just making that introduction again. So this is my brother Eric, and we used to work together, and then he went to school, and then I went to school, and I went to the Air Force, and then we came back to work together for a little while, for a couple of years, and then I went further and built the company that we operate today, and he later on went and continued on his journey in his airline career. So you're sitting right now with two very successful people who have been able to build lives kind of in two completely different worlds, but and actually currently two different continents. I'm broadcasting here from northeastern Europe right now, and so it's a really cool opportunity. I hope you really get a lot of this, and the value from this is very, very meaningful to you as we work through the questions that we're going to be talking about today. All right, so I welcome you all to the Masterclass. Again, if you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, follow on TikTok if you haven't done so already. And we're going to get into this. So, Eric, would you please give us an introduction of yourself? First of all, you're my brother. Obviously, you're a pilot, father of 8 kids, Christian. What would you like the audience to know about who you are, and if your basic intro?
Yeah, obviously Jason's brother, so I've got all the stories that go along with that along the way. The father of 8. We don't limit it to 8. We trust God for the size of our family. We hope to enjoy the blessings that He gives us. A Christian, that would be the main. I would say the main crux of our existence here. Without God, we have nothing and absolutely zero hope. So, very grateful for that. And we've. I would say I'm happy to talk about flying. I love to talk about myself, so it's a great place to be, I suppose. But I guess I'm happy to share my love of flying with other people, and then hope to encourage you, whether you're in flying or any other field that requires years of determination when things look a little bit rough in the future. So happy to do that.
Well, we definitely appreciate it, Eric, because I've watched it. Obviously, I've had the opportunity to watch your journey over a lifetime, and it's been some periods I've been less existent than others, and you've been off doing things in other countries and around the world, and we just our paths didn't cross as much. But in the recent years, it's been really cool to be able to reconnect and actually kind of merge more of life as we work together. And so as we've been able to do that, more and more opportunities just to understand what it really took for you to get where you are today have I've just been able to hear more of those stories, and it's been really cool to be able to be part of that. And so that's why I think starting out the year, you're the very first person that I would want to be on the call. So
Awesome.
this is the very first of these joint master classes that we do every week, and so I'm going to be doing a series of these throughout the year. But this is the very first of at least 12 that we're going to be doing this year, and you're the first. So thank you very much for agreeing to join us and being
Yeah,
a part of this.
that's an honor.
So take us back to the beginning and tell us a little about where you're from. Uh,
Yeah. So, where's the beginning? I don't want to take you all the way back to. We'll go to 7 years old. So I think I was in the back of my parents' Suburban, 7 years old. My cousins were with me. You remember Lauren, I'm sure.
yep.
And saw a crop duster. He was flying outside the Suburban, and I remember looking up and was like, man, I would love to ride in an airplane someday. And she responded, well, I want to fly one day. And so in my mind, I thought, oh man, I didn't even think that was possible. But I would much rather fly
Yeah.
one. I would much rather fly an airplane than just ride it, of course. But I couldn't
Dan.
admit it because she had already one up to me. So I didn't really pursue it at 7 years old. Kind of, well, that was kind of the pie in the sky dream to me. I'm sure you remember many times when we were working manual labor in either the farms or digging ditches and looking up and seeing
hmm
planes in the sky and thinking,
Oh
man,
man.
wouldn't that be nice? Well, yeah, there's a lot of
Now
that.
that's where you are today.
Yeah, that happened a lot
You're way
before.
up there in the sky, 40,000 feet.
Right. So I guess kind of phase two would be, I think I was 17 or so when we had an assignment in school to write a book report, and I ended up writing a book report on the Eclipse jet. I was just kind of interested in jets. It was something technical, and I enjoyed that. So I wrote the report and got it graded, threw it in the trash. As homeschoolers, lots of our homework goes in the trash. But my dad, I guess he was taking out the trash and he saw the report. So he asked me about it. He said, hey, are you interested in aviation? I said, yeah, I wrote the report. It was interesting. I would love to fly, and didn't think much of it. So that was, I think that was on probably a Thursday or Friday. Well, over the weekend, my dad took me and maybe even Jason. I don't know if you remember this over the weekend, but we drove out to a couple of different airports near our house in Devine, Texas.
Okay. I
So we
think I
went
may
to
have
see,
remembered something like this.
yeah. So we went to see. We saw some airplanes, some dilapidated airplanes. We saw old, worn down airfields, but we didn't really make much progress in talking to people. And so I didn't think much of it when we came back. Came back home. It may have been a Sunday afternoon. I'm not sure. Well, didn't think much of it. Then Monday evening, he came back from work, and he walked in and he said, "Hey, Eric, you need to read chapters 1 and 2 of this book, which was aviation, Introduction to Aviation." And he said, "You owe this flight school $300, and class starts tomorrow at 7 a.m. So Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., I find myself under the tutelage of Mario McGee learning how to fly in a 2-week ground school course."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it happened really
Man.
quick, kind of unexpected, and didn't really know where it was going to go. About after the 2 weeks, we had the written test, which was kind of a big hurdle. Kind of your first thing for aviation. You have to get a medical.
Was that the FAA test, or was that?
That's the FAA written test.
Okay.
Yeah. And so at this particular school, they made us take that test. You don't necessarily have to do that at every school, but at this one, they said, if you're serious, you'll pass the test. So I passed the test.
Wow.
And then I started the flight training a few days later, really. I think,
Wow.
yeah, as soon as I passed that, they had me in the airplane. So we spent a summer of mowing grass and not reinvesting in our equipment so that I could learn how to fly. Jason was a big
Yeah.
that, and I think we ended up.
Uh,
We decided it was. I think it was it 3 hours of mowing for 1 hour of flying. Was
yeah, something
I
like that.
think
You
it was,
made the calculation
yeah.
very early on, and I remember, like, gosh,
So
we got to work pretty
yeah,
hard to support this
yeah,
flying
3 hours.
operation.
Yeah, it was rough. It was a lot. But before college started, I finished the private pilot's license and at a Part 61 school. So very good experience there. And then I went to school for the 4 years in college. I wanted to get a degree in aviation because I thought that would make me more competitive for the airlines, and also get the rest of my certificates while I was in college. So that took
Well, it
another
means
4
for me,
years.
it seems like you've been getting a new certificate or some kind of license or some kind of
I
upgrade training every 6 months. Every time I turn
I
around.
we earlier this week I told Elizabeth, I was like, hey, I think I want to get a multi-engine seaplane rating. I'm like, well, what do I need that?
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
need that. I just love to collect new certificates. That is a thing with me, yes.
Oh man. Well, seaplane,
Yeah.
then you could be like Baloo, flying and
Yeah,
landing
yeah,
in
yeah,
wherever he was landing in the Amazon, I think, or
yeah,
something. Wow, that
yeah.
would be really cool. Well,
Yes.
maybe you need to get that seaplane license.
Well, the
So,
school's in Florida, so we'll think about it. But yeah,
so, oh wow, so it's not far away. Maybe you'll drive by on the way next month when you come visit us.
there we go. There we go.
We're going to be in a conference down there in Florida next month. Not
Right.
next month, March. So that's what I'm referring to. All right. So so obviously, so since you were 7 years old,
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
dreamt of flying. And then,
I really, I say I dream. The 7 years old was when I realized that's something I really wanted to do. Probably the first time I soloed. That's where the solo it happens maybe 10 to 15 hours into your flight training, where you take up
yeah,
the airplane by yourself, and the instructor watches you from the ground, and you're pretty much everything that happens in that plane is up to you. And that really, when I did that, there was kind of it was a step from where you're unsure of yourself and you don't know if you can do something, to that was the switch for me. Was like, if I can't do this, I don't really want to do anything else. And it's like, that was,
wow. And
yeah,
how old were you
I
when
mean,
that
I'm willing
happened?
to do other things as long as it progresses the path towards flying. But that was
Wow.
really where I was like, okay, I have to do this. And I knew
Well,
100% this is what I wanted to do.
so how old were you when that happened, or when you kind of
That was
understood that?
during the flight training. So I would have been
Oh,
17,
wow.
maybe 18 years old. Yeah.
So when you started flight school at
Uh,
Stinson, right? So it was
yep. Stinson
Stinson
Airfield. Yeah.
Airport, east San Antonio.
That's Check 6 Aviation with the
Check
Marlin.
6 Aviation. I
Yeah.
remember that. I remember you taking that old 57 Chevrolet that we bought,
Yeah.
and we kind of somehow got the engine to turn back on, and we that two-speed transmission or whatever it
Yep.
was,
Yep.
inline two-speed back and forth reverse two
Yep.
speeds, and you
One,
would go
two.
up to,
Yep.
my goodness, and
Yeah.
drive up there, and you had your lessons and you did it faithful. And I don't ever remember hearing of any test. Okay, maybe you didn't like max out on 100%, but I don't think you ever failed any of those tests in any of that first training.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, there's always
you were so
setbacks.
interested in it.
There's many times where you have like stage checks and check rides and
Yeah.
things like that. But yeah, I always felt that was something in that I really appreciated about the flight instruction realm, was that I always felt prepared for the next thing that was coming up. So there was never any surprises
So just throughout the
with the
flight training,
training.
you mean
Yeah, with the
from
training
flight
itself.
school,
Right.
even from the very beginning.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was really nice just to know, okay, if I follow the instruction they gave me, if I do exactly what I was taught, then I'm going to pass. And that seemed to be the case for the majority of all the tests. Yeah.
There's a couple of questions that have been popping in
Oh,
while you
great.
have been talking, and actually, so we got one from Jake, and then we got a couple other ones here, and he says, "What is the scariest thing?" I don't know. Can you see it on your screen, Eric?
I
Did
can.
it
Yeah.
pop up for
What's the
you? What is the
scariest
scariest
thing
thing that
that's happened
happened
to
while
you
you
while
were
flying?
flying? Leave it to
I
Jake
would
to
say,
ask for the risky situations.
I don't know how long I want to spend setting this up. Let's say
Okay.
you're in a foreign country. So just kind of put yourself in my shoes. We're in a foreign country with hostile people on the ground. There's one or two places to land that's safe for you to land. The rest of it, it's probably unsafe, would be a nice way to put it. While I was flying, we had smoke that just started billowing out of the electronics in the plane.
Oh
And
no.
that was probably the scariest. Like I was like, okay, I have smoke. I have to shut off my electronics, so I can't communicate. I'm in an area where communication is critical, and I have to go land at my base without talking to them, and they're probably not going to like that. So that was really I
No.
ended up flipping the electronics back on so I could at least talk to them. Say, hey, we are Americans. We're not hostile. Please let us land where things are smoking in the plane. So yeah, that was probably
Oh
the
my
one.
gosh.
And then
Oh
once
my
we landed,
gosh.
yeah, we landed. We talked to some of the other pilots that were flying that day, and one of the guys was like, "Yeah, we were the F-18 that was watching you really closely as you came in." I was like, "Oh man, that was really." Oh, kind of the hair on the
They're
back of
gonna
your neck stands up. And you're like,
oh
yeah,
man.
that was the
But
one that makes me grit my teeth. Yeah.
that was before the airlines. That's while we were
Oh yeah.
cranking out the flight
Yeah.
hours, trying to just
Yes.
build as much of those flight hours
Yeah.
and the time when you're paying off the school debt, right? Because you
Yeah.
finished your degree in aeronautical science,
Yep. Aeronautical science,
right?
professional flight.
From
Yeah.
Laterna University, and then you were out in the middle of a foreign country,
Yeah.
yeah, that might have been a really
I
scary
think that was the
event,
worst one, and it's
the
kind of
worst.
yeah. But there several other things have happened in the plane. I've had landing gear failures where the engine sometimes wouldn't work
Oh,
correctly.
and that wasn't as scary as that. That was just kind of
Oh
yeah.
no,
Landed.
because that's I was trained for all these other things. I had some training about what to do in the
Oh.
emergency, but when it was compounded with, okay, now do I have a safe place to land? Are they going to let me land? I can't talk to them. Plus, I know there are hostiles around. So yeah, the other things were things that we practice on a regular basis, especially
Hmm.
at the airlines. I mean, the airplane will fly with one engine perfectly fine, and so we practice that kind of thing
Man,
all the time. So
even
yeah.
in the big ones, even on the
Oh
big
yeah.
jets, they could fly with one engine, no
Yeah.
problem.
They've got
That's
enormous
so
amounts
cool.
of power. Yeah. It's unbelievable how much power an airplane has nowadays. Yeah.
All right, we have another question here
Okay.
from I don't know who that is, but somebody else is asking, which flight do you remember most, not because of the destination, but because of a decision that you had to make while you were flying? That's a nice question.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
there you go. That's the one.
I'm probably going to stick a little bit closer to something more recent. I had we were coming back to Atlanta, and the weather in Atlanta was bad, and we had to divert to another airport. And it's kind of more human factors thing. We landed at the airport at I think it was maybe Jacksonville, Florida, and just had a person that was really struggling with I guess nervousness because we had to divert and it had been bumpy along the way. So we just
Wow.
coordinated with the ground crew so that her husband could pick her up in Jacksonville, which was closer to her final destination than Atlanta was. So it kind of worked out for her and her family as well. But that was something I sometimes,
So just a passenger struggling. It was a
yeah,
passenger on the plane who was just
helping the
really struggling
passengers.
with
Yeah,
stress during the flight and anxiety.
yeah. So
Wow.
that was kind of I wouldn't say I don't know if that's what I remember as most, but it's something that kind of surprised me. It was something that I've never had to deal with before, and so just
Yeah.
being able to help out in that situation was really rewarding. Even though I didn't get to take them to Atlanta with me like I wanted to, but the rest of the crew
Yeah.
but the rest of the people did come with us.
Well, I bet they were happy in the end, and I
Yeah,
bet the rest of
yeah,
their the
right.
passengers on the airplane were very grateful that
I think
everything worked
so.
out smoothly in the end.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll to another question. What would surprise passenger most if they could watch the cockpit in real time? This is kind of a dicey question.
Okay.
What would
Huh, what
surprise
was
passenger most if they could watch the cockpit in real time?
I think most people are surprised with how much automation we have,
Yeah,
because a lot of times you think, okay, the pilots are up there flying, and between the
just
two
sitting
of
there with
us,
a stick and
yeah,
flying
right,
like that and just
yeah,
going.
we might do that until I get up to about maybe 18,000 feet or so. So maybe for the first 5 minutes of the flight, and then we have the airplane on autopilot, and we're just managing the technology and making sure
Okay.
it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And some of the planes don't necessarily do that as well as others, but oftentimes the airplane will fly to 1,000 feet. So we have
So,
the
so like take off and wait, fly to 1,000 feet
we
kind of
take
on
off, we
its own.
fly up to 18,000,
Okay.
maybe 10. It's kind of up to our discretion. If things are really busy, I would actually turn on the autopilot earlier to assist
Hmm.
the other pilot with the duties that we both need to satisfy. But yeah, I think most people would be kind of surprised with how much the autopilot's on, and then we usually don't turn it off till as we approach. It's about 1,000 feet, but the airplanes are also capable of auto landing. So that's
Wow,
another
that's
thing that
amazing.
it's pretty incredible, which is we can fly down to 30 feet before we decide to land,
Wow.
and at 160 knots, 30 feet goes really, really fast. So it's a split
Wow.
second decision. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, I can remember some of the flights. Sometimes it just seems like it's so long. The plane is landing. The pilot says, "Oh, okay, we're landing." And it's like the next hour, it's just feels like a dreadful, just, I don't know, just terrible uh, downgrade and never ending slope. But sometimes it's like, okay, we're landing. And then boom, you're on the ground.
Yeah, I try to make the
I
announcement about
prefer
20
that
minutes
one.
away. I like to give people 20
Okay.
minutes because that will let you, okay, do I need to finish up my snack? Maybe hit the restroom one more time, put my electronics away,
Okay.
and don't leave their cell phones on the airplane. That's mainly my.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty helpful. Do
Yeah,
people often leave their cell phones on the airplane? I've always wondered that.
I would say 20% of the flights, at least one person leaves something.
Oh my
So
gosh,
yeah, there's a lot of
man.
times we'll hey, there's somebody in 27A has a this, so they give it to the pilots. We run it up to the gate agent, and hopefully they come back to the gate agent, because if they don't get it there, it's probably not going to happen.
Really? So that stuff doesn't go to like a collection point at the airport or
It's
something?
supposed to, but I have lost things, and it's
Wow.
been unrecoverable. So
And it's just unrecoverable.
yeah.
All right. So one more question before we move on to the interview questions. Which is the most critical part? The takeoff or the landing?
Well,
Maybe
we
which one
say
is
there's no
harder?
there's a mantra, which is there's no emergency takeoffs, but there are
Okay.
occasionally emergency landings. So there's part of that, but I would say, to me, it feels like there's a lot more moving parts during the takeoff, because
Okay.
you have the cold engines that are warming up and they're putting out all this thrust.
Mm.
Um, so I'm much more on edge during a takeoff, because
Okay.
so many things can happen so quickly, and it's something you have to be ready for instantaneous response. Where the landing, the outcome is generally known. You're going to come to a stop. So
Okay. You're going to get on the ground and eventually, just do the laws of nature, it's going to stop.
right,
But
yeah.
hopefully,
So
you do it with the wheels on.
there's a couple of decision points along the takeoff that you have to say, okay, now there's kind of a gate one, gate two type thing. So gate one, if anything goes wrong, I'm going to stop. Well, once I reach gate
Okay.
one, now only four things I'm going to stop for. If I pass the third gate, I'm only going to stop for two things, but we may run off the end of the runway. So I have to be it better be one of those two things, and I'm sure of it. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah.
Well, it's amazing that you can keep all of that in your head. I was talking to a
I have to
pilot
review it
recently.
every time. Yeah,
Really,
I take a few seconds.
every
Okay, gate one, gate two, gate three. These are my decision points. All right, now I'm ready to go. Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Wow, that's really interesting. Man, there's so many interesting things that happen in the cockpit that just we're most of us are just not aware of. So, for those of us who don't, or those, there's a lot of people, whoever's online and whoever's watching this, they don't know this. So, what type of aircraft do you command? And just tell us, what does the daily routine look like for a pilot when you're on duty?
yeah. So I fly the 737. So the Boeing 737.
Okay.
I fly
Most
the
one of the most
800.
popular ones
Yeah,
I've ever known.
yeah. So that I fly the 800 and 900 series. We're being told that we'll get the 1000 series next year, so I'm looking
Is
forward to
that
that.
exciting?
To me, it is. I always like new things. I get that shiny jet syndrome rather
Oh
quickly, so
man.
I look forward to it. But I have a 3 day trip starting tomorrow. So my first day is one leg. I think I fly to maybe Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina.
Okay.
Day.
Okay.
So what I'll do is about let's see, about 2 hours before the flight. That's when I get my stuff together. I leave the house. I go to the airport. I show up to the airport an hour before. I try
Yeah.
to get to the gate, so I have plenty of time to do all of my pre-flight activities. I talk to the first officer and the crew. We have four flight attendants as our typical crew members, so six of us total. Then we'll do the pre-flight duties, pre-flight checklist, and that kind of once we get to that point, we've reviewed all of the weather, all of the routing, any delays we might expect to have, and then we've gone over the entire flight plan, which is all electronic, which really makes our lives a lot easier than the old paper ones. Uh,
Yeah.
we'll have that one flight. It's one of the things that shocked me about commercial aviation is when the flight's over. When I was flying smaller airplanes, I had to do everything. So I would,
Mm.
I would do all the paperwork. I would help the passengers load. I'd load their bags. I'd fuel up the airplane. I'd fly the airplane, empty the
Wow.
passengers in their bags, refuel the airplane, and tug the airplane back into the hangar. So now with the
Wow. So you did
yeah,
it all of
yeah,
that before?
that was a typical
Man.
day for me. Yeah. Now at the end
Before
of
the
the flight,
airlines.
right at the end of the flight now, with the airlines, I do my shutdown checklist. I might flip a few switches to make sure the airplane's good for the overnight, say goodbye to the passengers, and we walk away. And it's like, well, I'll be back in the morning, and somebody else will have already flown this airplane. So
Wow.
it's very important not to leave things undone, yeah, from a maintenance issue or anything like that. But
Okay.
but yeah, so a
And then
lot of
you're done
times,
and you go home or go to the
yeah,
hotel and
good. I wish it was home. No, the for a 3 day trip, I'll spend 2 nights in a hotel.
ah,
So
okay.
the company provides all the transportation, which is really nice that we don't have to figure all of that out, and the hotels. So when we walk in, they have a sheet for us to put our name on, and we go straight to the room that they've set aside for us. And then I like to do three things when I'm not flying. So eat, exercise, and then sleep. But a lot of times, if you don't have enough time, you only get one, or even you get two or one of those things, and that's it. You just have
Really?
to decide, yeah, because
So how many hours do you have between those flights? Like if you're on for example, like this week, you're going on a 3 day.
yeah,
How much time will you have?
on this one I have 15 hours on the first spot and 17 on the second. So there should be time
Okay.
for all three activities on both of those. The minimum I've seen is 12 hours, but it can take it down a little bit less than that. So I prefer not to.
Okay. So they do have time to, at least to rest and hopefully
Right.
to eat and
Yeah.
even hopefully to exercise, stick an
Yeah.
hour in there somewhere.
Right.
Well, people often see the glamour of flying, and from your point, from the cockpit view, I guess, what is the biggest misconception that you think general populace has about the life of a pilot? The from whether it's from just the lifestyle or the work that's involved or the administration and bureaucracy. What would you say is the biggest misconception people have about the life of a pilot?
I don't want to minimize it too much, but I don't know how many times I've been asked for directions in an airport, and I don't have a clue where I'm going. I have to look at the sign just like everybody else. I have people walk up to me and they'll show me their tickets, and I'm going to Amsterdam. Where do I go? I was like, well, let's see. Here's the flight number. Let's walk over to this board. Okay, it says go to this gate. That sign says that gate's that way. That's where you need to go. And I do not know any better than anyone else. So,
Wow. Even though you've been through most
yeah,
of these airports, I don't know, hundreds of times, at least,
unless
maybe
it's Atlanta.
thousands.
Yeah, I can help you in Atlanta, but the rest of
Okay.
the country, it's
So,
a tough one. Yeah.
no, just not just the general awareness of where the world to go in an airport, where their gate is. That's the biggest misconception. Don't ask a pilot. If you see one, don't ask a
Oh,
pilot where you should go. I mean, he'll
I'll
help
help
you,
you
but
figure it
he
out, but
might
I don't
not
know
know.
off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
along with that, maybe we love to have people visit us in the flight deck. If you're ever boarding,
Really?
yeah, and you want to say, say, hey, hi, say hi to us. We're happy to talk to you. And most of the time, they put us up front and then they close the door and we're locked in there like animals. But we do like to talk to people, so say hi, especially
Okay. Okay.
because I don't know how many children I've had or how many pilots I've flown with that said I got interested in aviation because I went and talked to the guys in the flight deck.
Wow.
And yeah, well, and if it's me up there, I will happily have the kids sit in the seat. We'll take a picture. We'll show them some lights and some buttons, and absolutely try to get them interested in aviation. Because
Man, well, we got to get some of our kids on your airplane one day. I'm
that's
sure
right.
our guys would like to see that.
I would love that.
We flew into Atlanta last year, but we weren't on your flight. But we were in Delta. We were on Delta.
Yeah.
Oops. Anyways, what is your favorite? I'm sorry. What is your all-time favorite aircraft to fly? And will you own this aircraft in the future?
Man, every airplane's different, so there's things I appreciate about each airplane. The most fun though it's a Cherokee 140 with a 180 horsepower engine. So the engine's been replaced with a much more powerful one, and it's tiny, so it only holds about 4 people, but basically like flying a go-kart. I'm so comfortable in that airplane that when I get into it, I can start it and take off, and I feel like I could land it in my backyard. It would just it's a fantastic airplane. Yeah.
So you just love flying it. It's just comfortable, and it's just like it feels like something that you can control almost without even thinking.
No preparation. Yeah. It's just you get in. If it starts, then
Is it a one-seater?
It has 4 seats. Yeah.
4 seats. Okay, so 4 seats.
I don't
Somebody
know.
asked. Somebody wanted to know the answer to this question, and I think a lot of people want to know the answer to this question. Is putting cell phones in airplane mode really that necessary?
Yes, it's absolutely required.
Okay.
And the
it's
reasons
absolutely
are,
required.
Yeah, I will be honest, if people don't, if how do I say this? It can interfere with communications. So it's not necessarily the frequencies that the cell phone system is on, but oftentimes the power that a cell phone emits will introduce static into our internal communication system. So then it can bleed into what we hear in our earphones.
Okay.
If one person does it, you're probably not going to notice it. Everybody does it. Maybe even then you don't notice it. But on the small airplanes, like that Cherokee 140 I was talking about, I can hear a text message comes in. It goes, and I hear it over my radios. So I make sure to do it, I make sure to do it myself because I know maybe if it's compounded 100, 300 times, it would have an effect. But also, we do have the regulations which say to do it. So I follow. Make
sure we follow regulations.
I love to follow rules. So for that alone, I would do it myself. But I can't say that I've remembered every single flight over the last 8,000 hours of flying to put mine in cell phone mode. And
8,000 hours. Goodness gracious. I got a question here from somebody. They say, do you believe that we'll ever see fully pilotless commercial aircraft? Do you think that's
as a pilot, I sure hope not.
Well, I see those
Yeah,
cars
it's
those taxis that they
yeah,
have that are driverless,
yeah,
and that's a pretty scary thing. And so far, it's not. I mean, it's been mildly successful, but there's
yeah.
still been some. Like I saw, they pulled out right in front of another guy, and I'm like, oh my gosh!
Hmm.
But it just kept on driving like it was nothing. Well, there's
Yeah,
obviously nobody in the seat to make a moral call.
right.
So
I think when everything goes right on a clear day with no bad weather, no icing, all of the engine systems work correctly, the avionics work perfectly, and all of this aircraft subsystems work fine.
yeah,
It's a really easy day for me.
yeah,
Those are the days
okay,
they happen often, and I flush them, and I never remember them because they're just it was easy. But it's
but
when things go wrong
yeah,
that that's when I feel like we need a pilot. And so it's I don't know if we'll ever be to the point where we could program an airplane to handle all of the various things that could go wrong, because things don't go wrong just one thing at a time. It's a
okay,
compounding
they
thing.
compound.
You're going to have some human factors. Some people may be sick. You might have a system on the aircraft is not functioning that day.
I
Sometimes,
mean, we know the weather
yeah,
changes every 5 minutes.
yeah, and a lot of that in a vacuum, that one problem could be programmed and they could handle it. But once you have multiple that interact with each other, I don't see it ever happening. I don't see it. I hope, yeah. And part of it is, I mean, I have a vested interest in pilots being in the flight deck,
Yeah.
but I've just seen so many things go wrong that you needed a human to make an immediate decision. And without that, I don't know what the outcome of the flight would be. So I think
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
got a little ways to go
So a
before we're
depth of
ready to do a
wisdom. I
wave roll in
mean,
the sky. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I honestly never want to fly on an airplane that does not have a designated pilot on the airplane
Right.
handling stuff. If
And I'm
there's
the
no
same
pilot
way.
on the
Yeah.
airplane, I'm not buying a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're flying a drone, and yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm going to come back to the questions in just a minute from the chat, but let's go to the fear and pressure aspect of this. One of the items in our interview here, you have 190 lives souls on board. I don't know how you call it, live souls,
Yeah.
people, whatever
Souls on board.
whatever
Yeah.
souls on board. That's the old
Yeah.
saying from the ships, right?
Yeah.
And have you ever faced a moment where an engine failed or warnings lights started flashing, or even in the training? If so, how do you handle the fear in that split second when you've got to make a decision now, and there is no room for fear?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, there's very few things in aviation that require an immediate response. So we're
Ah,
actually trained to expect a startle factor. There's when something pops up, oh my goodness. Okay. We announce it. What is it that I'm looking at? I
so you
verify
actually
with the
tell
other
the people
person.
in the airplane, or you tell your
Oh
cockpit?
no, they don't want to know in the back.
Okay. So
This would
you
be
announcing, you mean you tell the guy or girl sitting next to you.
yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, just say, hey, I'm seeing this. Do you see this? Do you concur? Or
Ah,
this seems a little bit weird. What do you think about that? The other day, I had on our after we pushed back off of the gate, the first officer did his after pushback flow, and so he got to a point where he was checking a system, and he was like, "Oh, this isn't right." And so I checked it. Then it's like, okay, well, we haven't taken off yet, so this is not a big deal. Let's make a phone call to maintenance and talk to them.
ah,
So not a phone call. We radioed them, but we talked to maintenance. They talked us through a little procedure to get it working correctly. It did, and we took off. But I think when we talk about the number of people, that was something. There was kind of a like a shocking moment to me when I was working at my
wow.
first airline. That was ExpressJet Airlines in
Yeah, I
Houston,
remember that.
Texas.
Yeah.
I we did all of our training and I passed the check ride. And I didn't really have any issues with that.
Hello,
But
Austin. We see you popped on. Hello, welcome to the live. Go
yeah,
ahead.
from
Sorry,
Austin. Yeah.
from Austin.
Yeah. So after the training was done, I went to meet with the instructor. So you fly with an instructor pilot for maybe a week or two, and you show up a little bit extra early at the airplane. And I so it was just me and him and the flight attendants. We got into the plane. We did all of our procedures. I was just so focused on the work at hand that I didn't really think about the people in the back. We got, I don't know where we went to. Probably it would, flying out of Houston would have been, I don't know, maybe Panama City, Florida, probably something like that.
Hmm.
Not a very long flight. We got there, landed, and the captain, I was the first officer at the time. He said, "Okay, guys, go say goodbye to the passengers." I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess there's people back there." I opened the door and I
Wow.
look back, and there's just all these faces looking. It's like, oh, I didn't I didn't realize so many people were back here.
How did
So
you not know?
I
How did
just
you not know there were so many
just
people on the
I
plane?
think I was so focused on the work that I was doing, and in a simulator, you just hop in. There's nobody behind you. For the last 6 weeks, I'd been practicing, and there's just nobody back there. So when I opened that door, I was like, oh my, there's a lot of people back there.
Oh
That
man,
was kind of a
that
surprise to me.
was that. Was in that moment? Was that just like a moment of fulfillment, like an arrival moment? Like, oh my gosh, I actually did it, and I landed the airplane. These
Yeah,
people are all happy, and they're going to see
yeah,
their loved ones or their business meetings or whatever they're
yeah,
doing, making their connections.
right,
And
yeah,
I got them, here
yeah,
with my captain here safely.
yeah. Like I
Was
was a
that a
part.
special moment?
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
I got a question here. Somebody wants to know, what things do you think make a good first officer? Speaking of your first officer experience, what
Okay.
makes a good first officer?
What I guess what I would appreciate the most in a first officer or even co-pilot who would say that is that they want to take my job from me. If you can
Ah,
sit in that seat, in the right seat, and do all of my responsibilities and make my life easy, I love that. Now that doesn't
okay.
mean I'm incapable. It's just I absolutely know that if something were to happen to me, you've got it under control, and the flight's going to end safely. So that's one of the things
Okay.
I really appreciate about
So know
my
your stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Is that it? Like,
and be ready, to take over my seat, because I don't want to sit in the left seat of this airplane forever. I'm going to go to something else, and so I want to make sure that the people that I fly with are motivated to learn what I'm doing so that they can move up when their turn comes, but also, in the event of something going wrong, that they're able to handle all of the emergencies as well. Um, we spend a lot of time. I just finished a 5-day trip,
wow.
so you're going to spend over the course of 5 days, you'll spend 25 or 30 hours with somebody that you've never met before. So it's great
Hmm.
to have some really weird, off the wall hobby that you just drill down into. My personal ones are I got into collecting pennies, and I can talk
Oh
about it for
man.
a while, and people are like, "What is wrong with this guy?" Also, having 8 children is a lot of something I love to talk about. We got into lots of family stuff, but it's been really interesting. One of my favorite questions to ask the first officers is, what outside of aviation, because obviously you better be an expert in that, what are you an expert in? And so I've gotten just some fascinating responses, and I've learned a lot of really cool stuff from guys that I would have no idea they were interested in something that niche. And so I really
Wow.
appreciate people taking the time to have interesting things to talk about over 30 hours together, because that
Yes.
happens in only 5 days. It's and then yeah, so that's kind of
So so don't be
cute though.
boring and know your stuff,
Right,
right? Like, you should
yeah,
be able to take my job if you have to. That's the
right,
whole
yeah, yeah,
that's the
yeah,
whole point. You got like it's kind of
yeah,
this mentorship
yeah.
mentality.
I'm not intimidated by anyone that thinks they can do my job, because it's reassuring to me to know that you've done the work that it takes to do what I do, and I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I am constantly grateful that I don't have to be a pilot, because I know how much studying you guys do and how much training you guys do, and it's just like it's just I feel like sometimes the pilots go through more training than doctors do
Oh,
after they finish their schools,
I don't know.
because because I see, I mean, you're just going to another 3 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 week training, and it's just amazing how much you actually train. So I think maybe that's actually a misconception. People don't realize that you're really, I mean, it's a very training heavy career.
Yeah,
Okay, do you have a
go ahead.
go ahead? Yeah, do you have a specific story, like maybe medical emergency? You kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, though, or
Okay.
mechanical issue where you had to rely on your training over emotions when you know, specific situation. Can you think of any of those without without any liability problems?
Oh, yeah, more. I hope it's not too emotional. I'm not sure. So, I was when I was flying for medevac. I did medevac flying for about 2 years,
Yeah.
and we had a patient. I'm going to say it was on the border, the Texas border somewhere. So we flew down to the border, picked up the patient, and I think they told me it was a baby that had a
Hmm.
heart problem, and I think they were 2 or 3 hours old
Oh
by the
man!
time they got to
Wow!
the airplane. So it was born,
Wow!
and 3 hours later, it's in the airplane. And
Wow!
I had a newborn at home at the time, and so in my mind, I was like, okay, I have to do all of my planning and stuff, and that's very, very cut and dry. I know how to do all that.
Yeah.
So I did all of my things, got the airplane ready to go. The plane gets on, the baby gets on board with even the mom wasn't able to come. She had to drive
Wow!
because she wasn't
Wow!
able to fly that quickly after the birth. So I think
Right.
the dad and the baby, and yeah, at the time I had a newborn at home, and it was just,
Wow!
it was almost, the baby started crying while we were flying and wouldn't stop, and it was just like, that was my baby in the back. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just took so much
Oh
ownership
man.
of that passenger.
Yeah.
And it was it was in the moment, it was very easy. Like, I didn't have any, nope, I don't care about that. I don't care. Doesn't bother me that the baby's crying. I flew the airplane. We got there. We landed safely. And then after,
Wow. Just
I mean,
overwhelmed
this
you.
is 5 years ago, and it still affects me. So it was like,
Oh man.
the baby made it.
Wow.
I watched it grow up. We had pictures of it when she turned 2 years,
Wow.
and the mom did great. And so the story is fantastic.
Wow.
But it was just in that
Wow.
moment, I had to say, I don't care what the emotions are around this flight. I have to cut this off, and I have to do what I'm trained to do. And I was able to do that during that flight. I can't do it now, apparently, but yeah.
I'm
But it
sure
was,
you could do it again
yeah,
1,000 times over. But so that's
right,
when your training really, like,
yeah,
you're like, okay, this is bad.
yeah,
This is life is at stake,
yeah,
and even more
absolutely.
so an
I mean,
infant
yeah,
that I can so
mhm.
intimately relate to.
Yes,
And
like,
I have to
I,
get them where they're going, and the
yeah,
faster the better. Obviously,
yeah,
that's why they're on my plane, but I have to do it without losing focus.
right. And
Wow,
that's something
man.
you don't get that a lot in the airlines.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to be late. All right, whatever. Doesn't, I hate that. I hate being late. I like
yeah.
to be punctual, but I don't have the level of stress or the level of urgency that I did when I was a medevac pilot. So,
Wow. Well, thank you for serving humanity in that. That's a really, I remember you working there as well. And we had,
yeah,
conversations at that time. I think that's where we started connecting again more
yeah,
at that period of your career.
yeah,
And we started having more conversations. And yeah, that was I don't, I don't remember that story, but man, that is, I would imagine that, if you didn't have, and you weren't just completely inundated, and the training wasn't woven into your DNA, it would
yeah,
be really hard to operate in that type of situation, but you managed to overcome it. So
yeah.
um so we talk a lot about the mental fortress on this channel. And so how do you prepare your mind to either compartmentalize, like in that situation, manage the pressure and risk, so that you can lead this operation safely every single time you're making this flight?
That probably comes down to a lot of just at home. Elizabeth, my wife, she's just like an anchor to our family, and that's something. She's a stay-at-home mom. We have the 8 children in homeschool as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of work that she has to do in order for me to be able to go out
To
and
focus like that,
fly.
to maintain
And
that
that's
level of
been the
focus. Is
case.
that
Yeah, that's been the case for 8 or 9 years now that we've been flying.
wow?
Because I flew before I was married, which was different, and then we had about the 5 year break, and now we started flying
Yeah.
together. And so that's been just the ability to leave home knowing that everything's taken care of or will be taken care of while I'm flying. That really, to me, is crucial to being able to go out and do the work I need to do and come back without being distracted.
Yeah. Yeah, so it really comes down to having your home in order, like
Right.
setting and having somebody back home that is really holding down the fort
Right.
and making sure that those things are not you're not having to worry
Yeah.
about what's going on at the home, so that when you are on duty and when you
Yeah.
leave, you step out the door, it's I'm fully focused. I've been trained to do this job. I know my job well, and I'm going just full focus into that. So that's such an incredible. I think that's an incredible aspect of aeronautics, or the air. What do you call it? Not airline, but aeronautic industry.
Sure.
Airline industry?
Aviation.
What do you call this? Aviation industry. That's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to. Aviation. That I think a lot of people, they just maybe not even aware of that preparation and then that groundedness that has to be there so that you can do your job well. But I really admire that. I've always admired that about you very much. So I just appreciate that you sharing that. So as we that kind of moves us into the faith, family, and purpose area of the interview that we wanted to talk through today. And so that brings up the question: how does your faith keep you grounded when you're 40,000 feet in the air and things go wrong? Or even when things are just going
Yeah.
right, and maybe you achieved a great success, like you have in these last few years. I mean, I know that in this point of your career, you have achieved such an amazing level of success that I admire so greatly. But it took you 22 years to get here.
Right.
And how does your faith keep you grounded when you're in that state?
I think the faith is that's really like the whole point of our existence. So
Yeah.
yes, to me, it's really um, I do this work. I'm in this industry so that I can exercise my faith, and that's something I'm very grateful for. Um, with the family, we just being involved with our local church. It's close by.
Kind of like The Monk and the Merchant. Have you ever read that book, The Monk and the Merchant?
I think I
Where,
have, but it's been a really long time. Yeah.
yeah, Eric's an extensive reader. He's read libraries full of books, more than I have. And I tried to read it, but I will never even catch up in my lifetime, I'm sure. But uh, the monk is like, okay, so you have a skill, or you have this service that you provide to humanity,
Yeah.
and it is all for the glory of
Yeah.
God.
Right.
And as you do it, you do serve humanity, but you serve them for God, and therefore you better do it good,
Yeah.
because you're not serving just people, you're also serving God.
Yeah. The story comes back to me now, but yeah, it's kind of saying, um, do I view my job as a ministry? And I would say to my family, absolutely. That's what provides for our family, that allows us to pursue um, things in our community that I wouldn't be able to if I had a job that didn't provide this well. But
Yeah.
it's like I said earlier, you're locked into a little room with someone for 35 hours. You may never see them again, but there's
What if you don't
ample
like this guy
opportunities.
or girl?
It's
It's
There's
like,
ample opportunities to have very meaningful conversation.
meaning, yeah,
And that's not to say I would force that, because they can't escape.
yeah,
That would be kind
yeah,
of cruel. But it's if the opportunity lends itself, I definitely take advantage of that for sure.
yeah. Yeah, so definitely can see the aspect of ministry working its way out through the work that you do,
Yeah.
both in how you treat the people and how you serve your family. So we both have 8 kids, and that's kind of a unique thing about this call. Is I don't have 9 yet, or and the ninth is not yet on the way. And as far as I know, it's the same for you. But we
Yeah.
both have 8 kids, and that's incredibly unique. I don't know how many
Yeah.
brothers actually, two brothers that have been successful in completely different areas, and they have 8 children and homeschool. I think that's such a cool aspect about our lives. But though it's a lot of moving parts. So, how do you balance that strict discipline of being a captain in a major airline? And I actually looked it up. It's like depending on what metric you're looking at, it is the number one airline in the world. So, just depending on which one you look at, it's definitely always in the top 3, but
Yes.
depending on the metric, it's number one. And
Uh,
so, how do you balance the strict discipline of being a captain with the grace and intimacy needed to be a dad? And I've seen you do this so beautifully. So I kind of have seen that play out in real life.
yeah.
But maybe just for the audience, what would you say gives you that gravity?
Well, our mantra in the industry is actually to be a servant leader. So that speaks to
Okay.
Christ
Okay.
right back at the very beginning. Christ was the ultimate servant. So when I view my position as a captain, yes, I can override pretty much everyone else, and
Okay.
I'm gonna get my way in the end. But
Okay.
I don't have to lord it over the people. I can make that I can make the decision mutual because I bring them along with me. Here's my thought process about why we're doing this way, and then kind of build a build an agreement between the moving parts. And
Yeah.
if I can't build the agreement, then I have to say, all right, well, I have the pilot's captain's emergency authority. I'm going to exercise that. Here's what's going to happen now. And
Okay.
I don't know, honestly, I don't know if I've ever had to do that. I mean,
Okay.
outside, at least at where I currently work. I've had to do it before once or twice when it came to maintenance issues or something like that, and we were pushed a little
Okay.
bit too hard. And I said, no, this is not happening. So
Okay.
when it comes to being strict discipline, that's not really something that I see on a regular basis. And I think being just very careful with because I'm so confident and knowing the authority that I have, I don't have to be mean about it. If I have to tell someone no, I can be very gentle. And if they refuse to acknowledge that I'm doing it nicely, I can be pretty blunt if I have to. But as far as when it comes to dealing with children, that's a completely different thing. I mean, we've got my oldest is 12 now, so they're
Hmm.
pretty young and very impressionable. And I often find myself thinking and remembering back to my childhood certain situations that happened and then how my parents reacted and equally, okay, I don't want to do that like they did, or I want to do as good as they did when I was growing up. And so that's been
Yeah.
really nice to to see.
So you have a
And
model,
yeah,
looking back
right.
also looking back on the model that you
Yeah.
have
And
and
if I
measuring
didn't have
yourself
that
against it.
model, yeah, if I didn't have the model of our parents, which I'm very grateful for, then you just have to rely on Christ. And that would be what does he do and how does he react to, if I,
Mhm.
yeah, he would be a better model, obviously. But
Yeah. Yeah. Jesus, our heavenly Father, is
right.
is the ultimate model of
Yeah.
being a father.
So that's
Well,
kind of, yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of saying, and in addition to that, I have Elizabeth, who's absolutely, like I said earlier, rock steady. So when I'm with her, I try to be clear in how I want the family to run. But I've also recognized my ideas and my systems for making a family run perfectly don't necessarily work. So,
Oh man. Okay. So it
so
relies on the better half to make sure things
yeah,
keep going
when
forwards.
I'm at 40,000 feet and I come up with this idea, oh, this would be perfect, and I come back to Earth and like this. Yeah,
That's
sometimes
just
I have
like
had that happen several times.
deliver
Yeah,
deliver the message to your wife, and it's like,
yeah. Here's
where
how you
did
do
you
this
just
from now
come
on.
from?
Like, no, that's not how that goes. So,
Horrible idea.
yeah.
Okay, I can see that. There's a lot of lessons to be, just yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do as a parent to
Right.
really to really manage your family and lead them well and
Right.
discipline and have grace and sometimes sometimes those are challenging calls to make. And so it's a I know it's kind of an interesting question. Sometimes we get this question, but what drove you to have a lot of children? I kind of know the background and the answer, but
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what drove you to have a lot of children? A lot of
Yeah. I
people don't
think,
understand that.
yeah, yeah, personally, I mean, if we didn't have the Bible that told us that children were a blessing,
Yeah.
and we didn't believe that, then I
Yeah.
think when I look back at my childhood, I'm the oldest of seven,
Yeah.
so I
I'm the
couldn't
second
really,
oldest.
I couldn't really imagine one of those seven people missing from my life. Like
Yeah.
each of them has had such a impact on me, and I'm so grateful for that. And that's something I want my children to be able to have as well.
Yeah.
So, some of them are more difficult to get along with. Some of them are absolutely sharpening every single time you see them. They will challenge you and
Mm,
make you want to work harder to be a better person and to follow God more
hmm.
closely. So I think just from like a personal view, I like the idea of having lots of kids because it exposes the children to people that are not like them. I can't believe with Elizabeth and I, we've had 8 kids and they are so different. Just
Yeah. Oh
from how they
man.
think to their capabilities to their physical attributes. And
Hmm.
so, really, I do believe that God is in control of our family size. And
Yeah.
so that's something I've really tried to work financially. We've prepared for that by being debt free. And then also
Yeah. Yeah.
making sure that we can provide for our own. So I work a job that allows us to provide for them well. And I think that's one of the huge responsibilities. It would be the worst thing I could ever imagine would be someone having a lot of children and not caring for them in a way
Mm,
that adequate for them. But yeah,
yeah.
I love the
Okay.
idea of a
Well,
big
thank you.
family. It's fantastic to with Jason and I. That'd be 4 adults against 16 children.
Oh my gosh.
When we get
It's like a
together, so
four squared.
it is
Gosh.
quite a group, and we're of course we're the
It's a lot of
oldest
fun.
two of a family of seven, and several of the other siblings have had many children as well. So it can be quite the crowd.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, it really is a blessing getting everyone together. Always very noisy, but it's a
yes,
whole lot of fun.
yeah,
It's a whole lot of fun to be able to
yeah,
be together and hang out. And I mean, we always enjoy hanging out with your family just
yeah,
immensely. Everyone looks forward to that greatly, even when we were with you guys this in December.
yeah.
And that was just such a blessing to be able to hang out with your family. And of course, I missed the other part of the greater part of my family while we were there.
Right.
But anyhow, it's having children is a big challenge. It's a ton of work, and a lot of people don't see though that it's an unbelievable blessing if you are willing to take on that responsibility. And then I think it also drives a few other areas of your life. Okay, so now if you are going to have so many children, so now you must provide
Yeah,
by
yeah,
through by the grace that and the blessings that God gives you and the paths He leads you forwards on. But you
yeah,
must provide for your family, and so you do have to focus,
yeah,
and you do have to focus on that aspect of being a great provider and growing personally so that you can do all of those things, not just saying, well, I'm going to pump out a whole bunch of kids and not
yeah.
provide for them. You
Right.
actually, you know that's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
So look, what is one thing that you can intentionally communicate to your wife and children often that is most meaningful to you for their further growth and success in life?
I think I'd have to go back to what our grandmother taught my mom. She said that no matter what anyone tells you, the Bible is always true.
Oh
And
man, I
if I
remember
can
that.
get that if I can get that to my kids, and I can get them to believe that, I there's nothing that they can't accomplish. there's nothing they can't overcome. So that, I
Wow.
think that would be, that's something I don't say it often enough. I feel like I'm saying it all the time, but it's probably not often enough. But before our Bible
Yeah, I
time,
definitely don't say that often enough, but
when
I think you're
you
right.
don't know what the truth is, when things are difficult, the Bible is true, and you can always rely on that. And just
Yeah.
really hope to just drive that into them. Yeah,
So that yeah, because you believe that that is the foundation for all of the
yeah,
success that you've experienced and will
absolutely. Yeah,
experience in all of this life.
yeah.
Man, wow, that's such a solid answer. Thank you for that. All right, so we're moving to resilience, and then we're going to get to the close here.
Yeah.
But many people are watching, so they're facing setbacks. They're going through challenges in their life, and I remember watching you go through multiple stages of this challenging, this flying stuff, this aviation
Right.
industry.
Yeah.
And for 5 years, you took that hiatus to
Uh,
work in manual labor, kind of, and
yeah.
kind of direct a section of a company.
Yeah.
And so, how do you handle the waiting season without losing hold of your dream? Because I don't even know if it was clear at that time, like if
Yeah.
your dream would come back into your life. So
Yeah.
how
I
did
think
how do you handle that?
that's, man, it feels like this has a really long answer attached to it, but I don't know. I don't know if I can figure that one out quickly.
Well,
I
okay.
think when I look at, I loved flying, absolutely loved flying. It was what I wanted to
Yeah.
do, and I did it for 5 years. And
Wow.
then I said, okay, I became aware of some needs in my family that, my parents, so they needed help with their company. And I said, okay, I can help out with that. And I knew I wanted to get married. And the 2 prior years that I had been flying, I spent, I think, 330 nights in a hotel. The 1 year, the year
Wow.
after that, I was in the Middle East for
Wow.
11 months straight. I said, with that kind of schedule, I'll never get married. So, so I knew
330 nights in
in a
how
hotel.
yeah, three out of 365 days. Oh my goodness.
Yes, yes. So I was flying a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. So I knew that that type of schedule wouldn't advance the other things I wanted to do in my life. So that's where I really was able to take a step back from flying and say, okay, I've kind of satisfied that itch. Let's go and do what my family needs me to help out with. So we got into air conditioning, and that was really good for being newly married and being home every night. That was
Yeah.
really important to me for the first, I'd say, 3 years of our marriage. And I think that created a very strong foundation that allowed us to then re-engage aviation, because I
Yeah.
knew I was going to be gone. I didn't realize how much I would be gone, but tried to
Yeah.
minimize that, especially as I first came back to flying.
Yeah.
I had to do the entry level jobs again, and those were really difficult to do with 3 or 4 children at the time. So
Hmm.
I,
So you already
I
had,
guess,
so during that 5 year period, you already had, you got married and had 3 or 4 children.
yeah, right. So we
Wow.
re-entered and even in once I got back into flying, we had some setbacks. We had my regional airline, they declared bankruptcy and they went out of business,
Oh no.
and so I kind of had to retract from that and then kind of take a step back, and just I remember driving home from driving back to Texas and just calling every pilot I knew, hey, I'm on my way back to Texas, you got any jobs that you're aware of? And sure enough, one of the guys that I called, he
Wow.
said, I've got exactly the job you need. So come
Wow.
me. I think I think I was out of work for 2 days, and so then
Wow.
it wasn't the job I wanted, but it was a step.
Goodness.
It was a step in the right direction, even though it wasn't what I had planned. And then that led to another job, which I had always wanted to do. That was the medevac flying. And
Medevac. Yeah.
honestly, and I was perfectly content at the medevac flying. I loved that job. I don't think
Yeah.
I had. I was more technically challenged and more satisfied with what I was doing on a day-to-day basis at that job than anywhere else. So I really loved it.
Wow.
And it was kind of a shock to me when I was invited to interview at Delta. I'd always had an application
That's
on file.
during that. It was during that job, right? When you got the
Right.
application, the
Yeah. So I got the interview, and
invitation.
I didn't think it was possible to be able to work at a major airline with kind of how my career had fluctuated.
But
And
you had to set yourself up, though. You did do some
yeah.
research, I remember, and
Oh
you
yeah.
you enlisted the assistance of a very
Many
advanced,
people. Right.
yeah, many people to
Yeah.
be able to get that. So
Yeah.
it wasn't just like, oh, I just kind of fumbled into it. It
Right.
was there was some intentional steps that you took
Yeah.
that if God would will it, you
Right.
would be able to get that interview
Right.
and an
Yeah.
invitation.
Yeah. And that
Because
was
there was a
something.
season when you just like they were not interested in you at all,
Yeah.
and then you took those steps
Yeah.
and helped your experience, your knowledge, the skills, the different aspects of your I guess your career path,
Yeah.
bring them out to where they were very visible, and then that's when you met that consultant, and he helped
Right. Yeah.
to make translate those the way that the airlines needed to see them so that
Right.
you could make the step forwards.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I
Wow.
had to basically my resume and what I had done and at for work hadn't changed very much over the
Yeah.
course of 5 years, but I had to enlist the help of others to kind of present myself in a way that would make me attractive to the major airlines. So yeah.
No, I think it's just incredible, just like an incredible pathway of success. And how often people think that, well, sometimes success just falls in people's lap. But if you would, if you looking back on your journey, it's like none of this has fallen into my and fallen into my lap. I
Yeah.
have worked and scraped for every single step of the way to
Yeah.
find a way forwards
Yeah.
and forge that way,
Yeah.
if for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So,
Very
all
unconditional.
right. So let's look here. In the idea of resilience here, what advice would you give someone who feels like there's purpose for us this season has been grounded? What would you say to them?
You're just
Remember,
saying like,
you were doing
okay,
your flight,
yeah,
you loved it,
yeah,
you intentionally took a step back to allow to get
yeah,
married and have children and to help
yeah,
our parents, and then you didn't know at that time if that dream, that love of your life part, that would ever come back into your life. So
yeah.
what would you say to someone who right now who's in that season and they really don't know
I
what
think
what
at
the
the
future is going to
time
look like?
I was able to view that pause, that 5 year hiatus from flying, as I guess I viewed it more as like God's direction in my life to establish other things, and
Mm,
maybe even to prove. Maybe it was a way that He used it to prove to me that flying is not the most important thing to my existence. I mean, I was
okay.
able to walk away from that and say, you know what? If that's not the best thing for me to be doing right now, then I can do other things. And I felt like I was able to be competent in another industry, and
Yeah.
uh,
And
you
you
know,
were you were
it,
very good
yeah,
at managing the operations of an
yeah,
HVAC company. You were
yeah,
incredibly good there, and I worked with you for a couple of years, and
yeah.
you were very, very good.
So yeah, I mean, so I felt like that was kind of a way for me to learn and to even, oh man, it's a good thing to ask yourself, just because I love something doesn't mean that I need to dedicate my life to it. And especially, is that my God? Is flying my God? Have I sacrificed everything else in my life so that I can pursue this? And my answer was no, I'm not going to sacrifice everything else to pursue flying because God comes first. And when he got me in the situation where he was preeminent over everything, then he brought
And you
that
had to rely on him
into
for
my
that
life.
success no matter what, or that provision.
I see we
Yeah,
got
somebody
somebody with
just
a
commented in the
commercial
chat.
single and multi-engine land. That's awesome. 900 hours. Yeah. I can't believe how many
Yeah.
people I'm flying with that they get into the airlines at 1,500 hours at the minimum. It took me about 3,000 hours to get to a major airline. So,
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Little Mr. Holmes, if you have another question for a captain on major airlines and you want to know a little bit about the journey, please shoot another question in the chat, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
Um, all right. So, do you see any correlation between how expectations posed up against reality sometimes give us a false sense of what it takes to succeed or grow long term in an area that deeply matters to us? Okay, that was kind of a
Whew.
mouthful, but do you get the
Does
gist of
anyone
the
else
question?
understand that question? Okay. The an expectation supposed to consider. I think,
Difference between
yeah,
the expectations against reality when somebody actually understands what it takes to really get there. The 22-year, it's
yeah,
like a 22-year journey instead of a
yeah.
4-year journey.
I remember reading
And
a book, How to Be a Major Airline Pilot, maybe in high school, and I remember, okay, they said, here's the path. You do your private license, you do your commercial, you get your flight instructor certificate, then you instruct for a year or two, you get to a regional, then a major, and it looked
you're
like,
like,
okay,
memorize this book.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
I memorized the path.
that looks pretty straightforward. And then my path was at 300 hours, I got into a King Air, flying in the right seat of a King Air. I did that for 5 years. And well, I mean, I did move to the captain seat in 2 years after. So first officer, then captain, and then 5 years of no flying whatsoever. And then
Hmm.
instead of picking up where I left off, I went and got my flight instructor certificate and started instructing. So it was just,
Wow.
yeah. So I think when we talk about my expectations for aviation was a very clear acceleration ramp up to the job that I wanted to have. And for me, it was just like straight up a little bit, down, then back up. And then I feel like, I've hit a home run, or I don't even know how, I feel like I've joined, like a major league baseball team here flying at the majors. It's just unbelievable that this is something that was able to happen. And so I think that really has created a situation where I'm so grateful for the job I had. And that's something, if I had a perfectly smooth ramp up to this job, I have flown with people that are like, this really isn't that great of a job. I don't enjoy it. And I'm like, after having taken the path that I have taken, I just cannot fathom having that reaction to this work. I'm like,
Wow.
you don't understand the difficulty that some people go to get here. I just hope you can appreciate what you have at some point in
Yeah.
your life, because I'm happy as a clam. I'm just thrilled to death. I mean, I feel guilty when I'm walking down the jet bridge. I feel guilty about how much I'm about to enjoy what I do. Like, I just like, this should not be legal, and I get to be fantastic. And
Oh my gosh.
now when the alarm clock goes off at 3:40 a.m., I have a twinge of, ugh, but by the time I get through the shower, all that's gone. So yeah,
It's like get excited to get on the plane
yes,
and go help get somebody connected
right,
and just do your
yeah,
job.
yeah,
So yeah, so there's a so that there is a people think about a path for success is always just
yeah.
kind of up and to the right,
No,
and so many
nope.
times it's riddled with potholes
Yes,
and detours and just God working his will out in your life in other ways that you had no idea, and taking you
right,
through seasons that
yeah,
would prepare you to be able to immensely appreciate and enjoy where he's leading. And
exactly, yeah,
so, man, yeah, that's been a pleasure to watch that in my lifetime, just watching your life all along the way. And so, that's just, I think that's such a cool testimony, just to being successful, God working through it, and just the reality that you can have all the best plans
yeah,
made, and that might not be your path,
yeah,
and your
yeah,
path might be far different
yeah,
than what's written, on that book you read back when you were in
right,
high school.
yes,
All
yeah,
right, so we've got two questions as we are kind of moving to a close here
okay,
that we kind of want to end this up with. And so, if you could go back And think back, I'm thinking, I think back to, working out in the Texas sun, doing trading that 1 hour of lawn mowing for three, or whatever, 3 hours
3
of
hours of
mowing
mowing for one of
for
flying. Yeah.
1 hour of flight time. And we were working there in those yards. Sometimes I would change my shirt at least 3 times a day
Yeah.
because it was
Right.
just drenched in sweat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, if you could go back to tell that younger self, the one that was mowing those lawns, cutting those
Yeah.
tree limbs, just oh my gosh, cleaning out those ditches at Miss Blaylock's house to after the water gates broke after a flood, or
Right.
being eaten up by mosquitoes, all of
Oh yeah.
that. If you could go back and tell that guy one thing,
Yeah.
what would it be?
It's something that's resounded in my head over and over and over throughout my career. It's whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. Just do the very best you can
Man,
wherever you find yourself. And I don't know how many times that's opened a door that I didn't expect to open in an unrelated field that I'm so grateful it did. It either built relationships or created opportunities. And just I've been allowed to spend time with people I didn't expect to spend time with. And
man.
yeah, there's another one. Let's see, what was the other one? It has to do with working heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And then
Wow. Yeah.
he will stand before kings. He will not stand before mean men. So
Yes.
I can't remember the first part of that verse, but I'll
Yeah.
go
I'm
look it up
thinking about it right
afterward.
now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to
Those
remember
are
to look it up
those
afterwards.
three
So
things. I mean, that got me through. There was a time where I had to do maintenance on airplanes. I hate working on airplanes. I just hate it.
really,
But
really, okay.
I was the guy that I I didn't really enjoy it, but I did the very best I could, and I got into something called NDT, non-destructive testing. So I got to be able to be a part of that. And while I hated working on airplanes, I loved doing the NDT stuff. But if I
Okay.
had been faithful in the work, then I would have never had that chance to do the other stuff. So it was kind of, yeah, whatsoever thy
So
hand
yeah,
do, do it with thy might.
whatsoever your hand finds to
Yeah,
do with it your mind. That's an amazing. That's a really powerful, powerful reminder, I think, for all of us, and at
yeah,
all seasons. As a business owner, ourselves, I sometimes in the best seasons, it's like, okay, I didn't have to do as much work. So am I doing
right.
everything with my might, or am I letting off the gas pedal,
Mm,
am I being as diligent with my mind and my heart as I should
yeah,
be during those seasons, and even just the carrying out of our work. So
right.
all right. So to start to close this off now, speak to that one person out there right now. They have a dream to have what you have,
Yeah,
be exactly where you are, and they're
yeah.
going through the private pilot's license. Life is tough, money's tight, the path ahead seems uncertain. What do you say to that person? What would be your word of
Yeah.
advice?
I really, I think just my path to the major airlines, I would, I would say is more than just flying. It's more than just the aircraft that I flew. It's more than, um, the places I've been. It's really, to me, more important than the flying is the people that I interacted with, built relationships with,
Yeah.
and then also the person I've become through God's leading me there. So it would seem I kind of, while my path was kind of weird, it was
Yeah.
jaggedy coming here,
Yeah.
the, the person that I've become, it's something I think I can clearly see God working to fix things about me that needed to be fixed all along the way. And so maybe when you can't get the flying hours or when you can't afford to do that, you're still building character and you're still building the resilience that you're going to need for the future difficulties you're going to face. And I would never, there's a lot of things that were very difficult and I struggled to get through with aviation. And I just am so grateful for each one of those difficulties because they created a very very confident. They've injected into me a confidence that I did not have when I was 17 years
Yeah.
old. Like I just
Yeah.
was scared of a lot of things and in flying and in life. And now it's like, okay, I can look at a new situation that I've never been in, say, this is going to be uncomfortable the first time. It'll be uncomfortable the first 5 times. It might be uncomfortable for the first 100. But eventually, this is going to be something that I do on a regular basis, and I don't even think about it. And it's not going to bother me.
Wow.
And so I'm grateful
Yeah.
for each of those difficulties along the way that while they
Yeah.
hurt to go through, they will mold you and chip you and shape you into the person you need to be for whatever God has in store for you. And it may not, it might be flying, it might not be, but if you're faithful, God is
Yeah.
too. And so you can rely on him to work what he wants to in your life.
Yeah. Man, what an amazing answer to, to bring this thing to a close because, I see, in our own success in our business and in our team and in the work that we do, we've had lots of ups and we've had some pretty deep downs. And it, as you, every single time we've gone through the ups or and especially the downs,
Mhm.
I mean, we've become so much better
Right.
during those hard seasons. Like
Yeah.
during the great seasons, sometimes you actually do let off the gas.
Yeah.
You're not as good as
Yeah.
you kind of look,
Yeah.
but when you get through the hard seasons and the nitty-gritty stuff, it really starts to show up in the character in your life and the actual the value that you bring to your own family, the people that you work with,
Right.
just your life in general. And so, man, yeah, I think that's right. Just don't despise the hard.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very,
Yeah.
very pertinent for that,
Absolutely.
for that. Well, guys, if you haven't done so already, and I'm talking to the greater populace right now, like the live, subscribe to our channel. We're doing stuff like this all the time and just holding conversations like this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hang out with us, go along for the ride. We try to share very, very meaningful content that will help you move life forwards and upwards. And you probably, maybe you might even see Eric on the, if he'll agree to another one day, you might even see Eric on here again, and we'll talk about another important subject because he's got a lot of experience and many, many, many stories that he could share with us along the
Yeah.
way.
I do
And
have lots of
so,
stories.
but Eric, I am so grateful that you just decided to hang out with us today. And I think I
Absolutely.
really, honestly, as I looked through the questions, I was like, man, honestly, I would really like to know the answer to this question.
I
As
love
we
that.
started to look
Yeah.
through this, and I just this is what I think. This is the highlight, definitely, of my week to be able to hang out with you
Okay.
and do this. So
All right.
thank you so much for agreeing to this and just encouraging. I think me and everybody else with the content that we put together today, and I
Yeah.
think it's going to be very meaningful for many. And by the way, this content is going to stay online. And so we've done
Oh,
this online right now. It goes online and it just stays there, so you can share
okay.
it with people who might be interested to see it. And any of you who are watching right now, please share the content as well. Somebody who may be discouraged, somebody who's on the path to becoming a pilot, and they need to know some insider information about that. They'd like to know. Share this video with them and drop a comment in the chat section, guys, because we read the comments. I can get this comment over to Eric and get an answer from him and put that back in the chat for you to enjoy. So don't think this is your one and only opportunity. Interact with the content, and we'll be happy to make sure that you
Yeah.
get the questions answered that you want, that you have, and that's what this is all about. So, thank you very much. I know this has been a little longer than normal, but we will see all of you on TikTok and YouTube next time around. We are at the same time, same place every single week on Wednesday. Of course, there's a lot of content that gets published every single day on the channels, and so please like, subscribe, and hang out with us, interact with us there, and also share it and rate the content wherever you can with a 5-star rating only, please. Mom said if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. All right. So with that, Karina, I think we're ready to shut this down. Please take us off the live.